Welcome. I'm very thrilled to have you join us for today's session on building a high converting e-commerce tech stack. So, we already have quite a few people in the room. We're going to wait for people to join us, but we're going to already quickly start. And first, we have a few quick housekeeping notes. First, the session is going to be recorded. You're going to receive the link afterwards via email. And you can also submit your questions using the chat while we are chatting, and our speakers are going to share their insights. And we actually encourage you to do that because at the end, we're going to cover some of them. And very briefly, my name is Raluca Bujoranu. I'm the founder of Shifted, and here I advise product teams, founders, and e-commerce brands on digital strategy, innovation, and scaling. Have been in the e-commerce space for about 17 years, and today I'm going to be guiding our conversation. And let me introduce to you our amazing speakers. They're the real stars of the show today. And each of them is bringing really deep hands-on experience in e-commerce. So we have Paige Tyrrell. She is the Chief Growth Officer and co-founder at Prefixbox, an AI-powered product discovery platform that is helping retailers boost revenue and conversion. And she also teaches AI and marketing at IE University. We also have today Vlad Petcu. He is the Director of Growth and Strategic Initiatives at eCommerce Today. And he helps fast-growing e-commerce brands simplify their tech stack and scale across channels like Shopify, Klaviyo, his bridging strategy and execution for long-term growth. And last but not least, we have Tudor Goica. He is a CRO and co-founder at Aqurate, an AI-powered personalization platform that boosts e-commerce conversion. He has a background in tech and data, and he has been working with companies like Typing DNA, Jack Adventures, Procter & Gamble, and a few others. So quite a lot of experience and an amazing lineup, right? So I'm going to go straight into our topic because we have lots of great insights today. We're going to explore how to choose the right tools, where AI is driving real value, and how to actually measure the ROI of what you're implementing so that your tech stack is actually helping you drive real business results. And we also have, we had our amazing speakers that put together a visualization that is going to frame the entire discussion today. To me, it looks a little bit like a castle. I called it for myself, Castle of Growth. It is going to really show how all of the different building blocks are helping you to boost your conversion, and we're going to touch upon each of them. So now let's start with the foundation of this castle, because this is about the core tools that you're going to choose. And this is shaping everything that you're doing in your customer experience, as well as your team's ability to scale. And I'm going to go directly to Vlad. And I'm going to ask you, when you are helping brands pick the right platform, whether it's Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, what are the key things that people should focus on early so that they avoid various headaches later on? And maybe you can also tell us a bit about the entire pillar, how you saw it.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you, Raluca. So the way I see the e-commerce platform is, of course, your core decision to not only having a castle, but even a fortress being built, a tech stack that yields results, saves you time and money. So first, when choosing the e-commerce platform, I see 3 points as being the most important ones. The cost of the e-commerce platform, the maintenance of the e-commerce platform, and also how you use this e-commerce platform. So I'll start first with the cost. I usually address it as financial cost, but also time cost. Why? Because it's very important to look at self-hosted e-commerce platforms, such as we look at WordPress, or hosted platforms such as Shopify, and look at how much they cost upfront financially, but then look at the time cost of them, of the maintenance and everything. And to give you a quick glance over those, usually self-hosted e-commerce platforms do tend to be on the cheaper side to launch, but regarding maintenance, they can get expensive, but not on the financial cost side, on the time cost side. They're very good for testing, validation, presentation, but I we usually recommend going to a hosted e-commerce platform because although it is more expensive, it provides you those benefits for the additional cost. And for all the attendees, I have just a simple question, which is how long did it take for you on a self-hosted platform to integrate Google Consent Mode V2? It might have taken hours or even days. On hosted platforms such as Shopify, it is just minutes away with a few clicks. So you are paying upfront, but you do benefit from those additional features over time that save you time. And we don't need to look only at launching the e-commerce platform, but also look on the long term. So look on the maintenance part. On the maintenance part, on self-hosted platforms, you are the one who's being responsible for security patches, for gateway API errors, for plugging conflicts, or even downtime for from your hosting provider. So how do you compute this downtime if it happens, for example, during Black Friday? This maintenance part you really need to look on the long term and think of if there is a critical time in the quarter of the year, am I fully covered? And why am I putting this question and why you should ask yourself this question is because usually hosted platforms, they usually tackle the infrastructure themselves. You see Shopify limiting the checkout. Why? Because that's a centralized feature that is core to the platform and it does not break down. So please evaluate the maintenance, go through your essential scenarios, and ask yourself if I go to this e commerce platform, will I really be covered for all areas? And not only that, but looking at launching and in the future, we need to look, of course, at the tech stack, the most important ones. And you need to be flexible, but also scalable with it. On self-hosted part, they give you utmost flexibility, but you need to be sure that you do not have a fragmented tech stack. Um, you need to really look at all the integrations and go for the native ones because that's the true answer. If you're using a native integration throughout your CMS and all the other features that you have on your e-commerce platform, then you can quickly switch apps, features, systems, allowing you for greater flexibility. And with a simple native integration, it provides you with all the options to reduce friction and to work and to ensure everything works together from day one, from payments to consent to analytics. So to summarize, always look at the cost, both financial and time cost. Look in the future for the maintenance of those, address all the topics and all your core events where you're going to attend, and also always stay flexible and ensure it can be scalable through native integrations.
Thank you very much, Vlad. That was really a great reminder that the real cost is not only in the actual cost that we see, but in the setup, in the time, in the complexity, and also that we need to evaluate everything or to look on a long term and maybe also take into consideration those critical moments like Black Friday. We all know how important those are. Now let's zoom into another critical part of any shop, which is the product discovery. And here I'm looking at Paige, and I would like to talk about search, which is sometimes seen as just a technical feature, but when it's done right, it can be one of the biggest revenue drivers. I remember that when I was with Zalando, we had more than 50% of the customers who started their journey through search. And this is why choosing a search solution is very critical. So, in your opinion, what should brands be looking for and what really makes the difference in performance?
First of all, you're totally right that search is a core component in both driving revenue and conversion rate of an online store, because if shoppers can't find what they're looking for, they're not going to be able to buy it. So this is something that you definitely need to invest in and do your due diligence when you're selecting a search provider, because a lot of things have happened recently in terms of technology that's available, and AI now is everywhere. So when you're looking for a search solution, you definitely want one that's going to leverage AI, but you need to make sure that it's not just a marketing buzzword, but this is something that's actually embedded in the technology. And when you think of this in the search space, that is vector search. So you should be looking for a solution not just that has AI on the website, but that is actually leveraging vector search technology, because this is the latest development in search relevance technology, and it understands a wider range of queries. So it's going to return more relevant results for a wider set than just the old world technology, which is based on text matching keyword searches. And I think everyone also recognizes now that online shopping is changing, as well as product discovery. Everything is becoming more conversational. This is the hot topic nowadays, because now people are becoming more used to searching for things on ChatGPT, which is a more conversational experience. And they're going to expect the same type of experience on an e-commerce site. So they might start searching longer and more conceptual things like a dress to wear to a Spanish wedding. So if your search engine is branded AI, but is not actually leveraging the latest search relevance technology, you're still going to be stuck just returning results that match dress, Spanish, wedding, for example. So you really need to do your due diligence here. And it's not just a trend or something cool to leverage the latest technology, but it really impacts your conversion rate and revenue. We see this. Some of our customers are having revenue increases of 45% when they're switching from a text matching based search engine to a real AI vector search powered search engine. So it's not just the cool thing to be leveraging, but it's making an impact in your KPIs. And to tie it back to what Vlad was saying, it also will free up your team's time, because now they have to spend a lot of manual effort setting up synonym rules, deciding which ones to do, optimizing manually. If you're leveraging a real AI search engine, all of that's going to be automated. So this is something that's really fundamental when you're evaluating providers, to make sure that it's not just a marketing buzzword, but how is it embedded in the solution? And can you see the real results in an analytics portal to quantify actually what you're getting out of this?
And because you talked about AI, you talked about automation, I wanted to go a little bit deeper into another hot topic today, which is AI agents. And in your view, how should companies actually leverage AI agents? What is the best way to integrate them into existing customer flows and or into everything that the shop is doing?
Okay, so another hot topic, everyone is talking about agentic commerce alongside conversational commerce. So AI agents are here. It is the future of e-commerce, not just for support scenarios where it can automate a lot of the support work, but also for product discovery, because what I was saying, it can help guide shoppers in this more conversational experience where you don't know exactly what you need to buy. For example, maybe you're going on a hike or a trip to a foreign country and you kind of want this guided buying experience like you're talking to a shop assistant, but online 24/7. So it's going to mimic that offline experience online. And this is not some future technology that, okay, in 5 years, this will be everywhere. This is already here now. Today, this exists. And so this is something that retailers should already be thinking about and how to leverage it, start experimenting with it, because the ones who are the first movers here are definitely going to get a big competitive advantage. And also there's no reason not to leverage it now, because it's not so complex that it will take weeks, months to get something up and running, depending on the solution that you choose. But you can train these agents on your product catalog, your product data, any website articles that you have about it. You can also upload PDFs. So you most likely already have a lot of the information that's required to get started. So you can already put it live, see how it's impacting your site. And the technology that's already out there is really strong. We see feedback from people who are experimenting with this that in 95% of the cases, the AI agent answer is as good or better than the human support colleagues' answers. So it's not like we're at just such a nascent phase of this technology, but it's here and it works, and it's something that you can easily get started with.
Okay, I really love how you encourage everyone to move into this type of conversational experience, and how you can actually use the agents in order to build that. And actually that 95% success rate is honestly impressive. I didn't know that it's so high right now. It really shows how far these tools have come. Now, I would like to go a little bit to another building block that is very, very important. And that is around personalization and how do we optimize the entire performance. Because personalization, product recommendations are, in my opinion, one of the core of a great customer experience. They're already there for a while. And if they're done right, they can really be a huge conversion booster. And now I want to pick Tudor to ask, how do we actually achieve that, right? What does it take to make personalization and recommendations truly effective, not just the standard carousels? What is really interesting to implement?
Sure. So I think if we take a step back and we think about physical stores, like before you could purchase stuff online, you would usually have like a salesperson or a sales associate, and you kind of knew that if you have a good salesperson, that specific location will sell more, right? And if you had not such a good salesperson, that specific location would sell less. Now, the issue is when we move in the online world, first of all, we completely lose the salesperson, or a big part of it. And second of all, we are not constrained anymore by the physical size of the shop. So instead of displaying, I don't know, 200 SKUs, we can upload a catalog of 50,000 SKUs. So basically, we make the job of finding the right items and driving the conversion rate harder, and we are missing that person. So that's where actually personalization comes in. So in essence, what we're trying to do in personalization is to show the right item to the right customer. It's as easy as that. So that's the only thing that you're trying to do. When you show the right item to the right customer, you will boost conversion rate because the item will be more relevant. And also when you do stuff like cross-sell, upsell based on what other users are doing on the website, what the specific user is doing on the website, you will boost AOV. Again, in the old days or in the physical retail, this intuition is already there with a sales associate. They will know kind of if someone comes in, walks through the door, they will kind of know how to upsell, know what to show them, but you're losing that in online, and it's super important to basically have it back. And it can actually be even smarter or even better or more consistent than the option with a person, because it just gets all that data and builds the intuition very quickly. The intuition that a sales associate would build over 2 years of selling inside of that shop. But so it sounds very good, but there are some prerequisites. So not all implementations of personalization will yield good results. First of all, you need sufficient volume. And this is the same for any AI tool that you want to use. For personalization, I think a good rule of thumb is to have at least 200 orders per month, ideally 500 orders per month, just so that the AI can build up that intuition that we have been discussing earlier, so that it knows what to actually recommend. The second very important point is having a very clean data layer and a very clean catalog with like very clean attributes. Like one example, let's say you have the color, you shouldn't call it once red, then red 2, then rojo, then light dark pink, and so on, because then it's going to be tougher for the AI to pick up on all those things. And of course, you also need a very strong like AI engine that can take in all that data and crunch it and make those recommendations. Another important thing is how you actually use these recommendations. Let me give you an example of two use cases that are wrong, clearly wrong, so you understand what I mean. So, for example, if you uh, have the customer at the end of the buyer journey and they have put something in the cart, and you decide to display alternative items, most of the time that's a bad idea, right? Because like the customer has made up their mind. Let's say they are looking to buy a couch. A couch is a big decision, is a tough decision. They finally decided, they added it to the cart, and then you say, what about these other couches? Like the probability of someone purchasing multiple couches together is extremely small, and you might actually move them back into the buyer journey instead of pulling them forward. Um, if you're selling nail polish, however, it can make sense to show alternative items because people will often buy multiple colors of nail polish in the same order. Yeah, so you have to be a little bit smart. Another example is previously bought, right? So just a simple carousel of previously bought items makes zero sense for cars, right? So if someone buys a car and they come back to the website, you don't want to show that car again, but it makes a lot of sense for groceries, right? They will buy the same carton of milk every time. So that's super important. Now, if you do everything right, uh, you should, depending on the industry and the catalog size, get a significant return on investment. So we see 10 to 40x return on investment. Roughly 10% of sales usually go through recommendations. It can be higher in some industries and lower in some others. But also very important, the conversion rate that we were so much talking about today and the average order value tend to be significantly higher when people interact with recommendations. We see like 30 to 50% higher conversion rates and average order values for those people who interact with good recommendations, right?
Yeah, I got excited from what you said, Tudor. Honestly, if I'm here, I go directly into email marketing because Tudor talks a lot about engagement, and I honestly do want to do that too. He personalize, personalize while keeping everything automated and saving you time. I always love hearing that. So, if I may jump directly into the email marketing part, because that's another way where you can automate the engagement. So even before going to even asking what is email marketing, Tudor makes an amazing parallel. If you are in a store and you have 10,000 people coming into the store, do you have enough employees to engage with all of them, to guide them through the store, to introduce them, to close the sales, and to get that additional conversion rate? Well, in the online world, we can rely on email marketing. Just before you start doing email marketing, you need to think of the platform. So I just want to bring back my old point. Always, when starting email marketing, you need to look at native integrations. I've covered them above. Native integrations, they improve or they reduce friction, they reduce maintenance costs, and make it easier for your tech stack to be flexible and scalable for the future. So if you are either choosing Klaviyo, Omnisend, Brevo, SMS Bump, and other providers, make sure that your entire tech stack is integrated natively with the email marketing platform. And also be careful, always look on the long term. Mobile apps, ERP systems, those need to be natively integrated as well to their extent. And not only that, I want to go into automation and personalization because to me, that's the most fun part of email marketing. And it is the automated engagement that you bring to the customers. We and the way we treated it, e-commerce today, we have those fundamentals which are email sequences that guide the customer from their first visit to the online store to their first purchase and even recurring purchases. So, email marketing, you can see users' activity on the website and based on their triggered actions, send them emails. send them personalized emails. And if you're automating this engagement, you can bring back people to the website in a more efficient manner than even advertising, because advertising is pretty expensive those days. So whenever you want to engage with the customer, to introduce them to your brand, maybe they looked at the product, they looked at the card Tudor was talking about, and they didn't purchase it, why not leave them an email? Hey, here's information about the car, here are its benefits, why not revisit our store? And instead of doing that through advertising, which can cost a couple of clicks, you can do it through a simple email and, of course, drive additional conversions to your website. And not only that, when we look, I've said only email, but it's more than email. You can go also to SMS, push notification, loyalty systems. When you think of your fortress that you build, it really needs to engage the audience, and I highly suggest to do that through email marketing. So a native integration platform with your stack that allows you to automate your messaging to the customer and personalize it to your branding. And also a very hot topic that probably is going to be in this webinar, always A/B testing. When you send emails, you have a subject line, a preview text, the content of the email, and the sending times. If that platform does not allow you to A/B test those three crucial parts, then I suggest it not being a no-go.
Thank you both. I really like how you brought together all the different perspectives, because basically the on-site experience, the email experience should be hand in hand, because in the end for the customer is one experience and how we can integrate. But also, let's not forget about what it actually needs, right? So we need data, we need clean attributes, we need native integration. So that is quite something to think about. I want to stay a little bit more with data, and I want us to actually dive into how do we as marketers, e-commerce managers, and so on, how do we actually make good decisions, and what do we actually need to track in order to take those decisions and to really look at what matters. And Tudor, I would like to hear your perspective here.
Yeah, happy to add a few thoughts here. So basically, we're at the analytics piece in the castle. I think there's like a basic tracking suite that like any e-commerce shop should have in place, and this includes like the main building blocks of e-commerce tracking. It's a conversion rate, it's average order value, customer acquisition cost, the lifetime value, which I know it's not that easy to compute, but it's extremely important. Then you have stuff like cart abandonment, and what I personally see as one of the most important metrics is revenue per user. So I think these things we need to track like in snapshots, but always look at them month over month and year over year. So it's only 6 metrics that are like the very foundation of the business, and we should have them at a glance all the time. And then, of course, you want to look at those metrics and start segmenting them, right? So you might want to look, for example, by channel, like what is the conversion rate for what's coming through email, or what's the conversion rate for what's coming through ads, but also maybe by device. Do I have a different AOV on mobile versus on desktop? Those things can inform you about the status quo and can maybe lead you to a place where you can ask yourselves questions and try to influence things as well. Another great split is for new versus returning users. How do those metrics look like? There are other metrics. So actually there's like a ton of metrics. If you go into GA4 and you just start an exploration and open up the metrics tab, it's going to bring hundreds of potential metrics. But for example, some of the leading metrics, I mean leading because they're actually not output metrics, they're just hinting towards stuff. And I think people sometimes tend to to spend too much time on them, are stuff like the bounce rate, time on site, and so on. So these things, yes, they can point you towards specific problems if you're really into going into detective mode, but they're rather leading metrics, and like a conversion rate, AOV, revenue per user are like the core things that I would really have. Now, in terms of tools, I think you need to kind of also consider a little bit the stage at which your shop is. Probably the best starting point is GA4 with enhanced e-commerce on top. That will provide all the metrics that I mentioned earlier out of the box in principle. So that should be fairly simple to set up. A very strong recommendation is investing in server-side traffic. I think investing in like server-side analytics is an investment that you cannot really go wrong with once you hit a level of, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 orders per month. This will give you the complete picture. It will help you see beyond the cookie banners and ad blockers and so on. So that's the only way you will get a full picture. And the good thing is that now there are tools out there that will actually help you install that fairly simple. It used to be like a super hard developer job, spin up containers and stuff like that. It's not like that anymore. It's click-clack, you pay some euros per month and you have full crisp data. And I think that's super relevant. Maybe some examples are Tagwell or Data Reshape. You can look, there's others as well, you can look into that. What I would also mention is that for these metrics, I think it has to be like a weekly, or if not weekly, then a monthly habit to look at them. So having some automated reports, maybe delivered to your inbox or anything like that. And there are really cool tools out there that if you don't want to, I don't know, spend a lot of time setting up GA4 reports that can be cumbersome, yeah, a lot of the time, there are awesome analytics and visual layer tools like Polar Analytics, Triple Whale, they're made, or Clar, they're made specifically for e-commerce. You just plug in GA4, you connect your platform. As Vlad was saying, native integration is super important, and then the dashboard is just there for you. Again, I think this is probably an investment for slightly later, because you can see those things in GA4 a little bit earlier, but it's probably something worth looking at as well.
I think that what you mentioned at one point, right? You have a ton of metrics. And basically, as you said, we don't need to look at all of those metrics. We don't need to fall into that trap, but actually look at those key metrics, make sure that we are having a habit out of reporting, and basically choose those tools that are bringing us the essence of of what really matters, so that we can turn data into decisions. And talking about decisions, talking about what is actually worth it, there is one question that we usually ask, and we are also asked by CFOs, founders, and so on, if we're in this game, right? Is this tool really worth it? Because of course there are many tools that you can integrate. So let's see, how do we actually evaluate all the new technologies properly beyond the vanity metrics, and what are the best ways? And I'm pretty sure each of you has different approaches to that. So I want to ask, what are your tips? And hear from each of you. Who would like to start?
I'm happy to pick it up. It's maybe related to the analytics, and I think we also have a slide for this. So I think one of the biggest questions that any company has to solve, any entrepreneur has to solve is what to do when, right? So there's so many tools out there. Like the castle that we showed is just like a small piece of it. And you kind of need to choose when to do what, test it super quickly to see if your hypothesis of doing that at that time is true or false. And if yes, select a vendor and go all in. If no, move on, test the next thing. So basically, we're always fighting time, and it's very hard to make these decisions. So I think the first step is actually the KPI definition. So what are we trying to solve with this tool? We can take the example of personalization. We are looking at conversion rate and average order value. If you want to put it in only one specific metric, that's revenue per user. Okay, so this is the KPI we're looking to impact, revenue per user. Very simple. Then you have the analytics foundation that I mentioned earlier. And then basically, you would want to choose a method. You have quantitative methods and qualitative methods. Now, regarding the KPI that you have looked at, for different tools that you're using, you will have custom events that are relevant to that tool. And you should take the time to install these custom events. It's usually like an event in GTM that will pop up in GA4. So some examples. We talked earlier about AI support, right? Chatbot support, agentic support. One simple event would be to measure the number of interactions. So how many people started the interaction there? This is a simple event. For email, you would have as an event, this is already baked in because you have the source, because it's coming through email. For recommendations like personalization, you would have the click on the specific widgets. So you need to set this up before doing any kind of quantitative testing. And once you have this, A/B testing is probably one of the best tools. So basically, you just split the entire website traffic in 2, 3, or 4, most of the time in 2, and you will just look at what are the results. We mentioned revenue per user as an example. What is my revenue per user with recommendations? What is my revenue per user without recommendations? Very simple. Look at the numbers and see if it works out or not. Now, there are limitations to A/B testing, and the main limitation is data availability. So as a good rule of thumb, you should think that you should have at least 5,000 measured events per month, right? So if you want to go to order level, you should have 5,000 orders per month to do an A/B test, because usually an A/B test should take 2 to 3 weeks, not longer. So then you're still left with enough data to measure. If you're looking at interaction, like do I get more clicks on the add to cart button, then you should have 5,000 clicks on add to cart within a month to be able to do an A/B test. Now, if we don't have enough data to do an A/B test, so doing an A/B test with little data is worse than not doing an A/B test. Yeah, so it will mislead you a lot of the time. So if we don't have enough data, we have other options. One of them is to look at things sequentially. Now, basically, what we're looking at, so okay, we define the key metric, let's say conversion rate. How was the conversion rate last month when I didn't implement this tool, and how is the conversion rate this month when I'm implementing this tool? Now, this is extremely tricky because there's a lot of volatility in the market. The conversion rate will go up and down regardless of the tool that you're using. Maybe you spend more on ads, so your conversion rate will go down. Maybe you do more emails, so maybe your conversion rate will slightly go up, and it will have nothing to do with the tool. So you have to kind of clean up for seasonality, which is very tough to do. That is why, in principle, sequential testing works rather well when you make major changes and you expect major outcomes, right? So you do a complete redesign of the website and you say, okay, I'm going to increase my conversion rate by 30%. You might be able to see the 30% by looking at it sequentially. If you're doing minor changes where you think that the AOV will increase by 2%, just the fluctuation that you have within the month will prevent you from getting a good picture on sequential testing. And going back to A/B testing, I forgot to mention that there are great tools out there. Again, that's also a lot easier than it used to be. So we have stuff like OmniConvert, AB Convert, AB Tasty, and a lot of companies that start with AB or end with AB that have great great tools for A/B testing. Now, there's also the qualitative methods, so it's definitely worth looking at heat maps. Microsoft Clarity, Hotjar will give you a lot of interesting insights. You will see rage clicks where users are getting frustrated with your website. You will see how users move back in the website and so on. So that's really good to do. But it's a little bit harder to evaluate the return on investment of a specific tool by doing that. Basically, what you would want in an ideal world is to be able to perform an A/B test, having enough data, looking how much more money did I make on the version with the tool that I have implemented versus how much money I made without the tool. Take that difference, think about what your margin is. Like, I don't know, let's say we make 10K more with the tool than without the tool, and we have a margin of 10%. So we're basically making 1K in profit with the tool rather than without the tool. And then you just compare that to the cost of the tool. If the tool costs 100 euros a month, you have a clean 10x return on investment, and you should buy the tool in principle. Yeah. So that's the way that I would go for about evaluating whether something works in my tech stack or doesn't work in my tech stack.
I'll jump in next because I think that was a very comprehensive overview from the analytics side. So to look at it from a different angle in terms of a delivery model from the solutions, we also have a framework for this. So this was created by Forrester, a research organization like Gartner, and this is their FIRE model because it starts with flexible, inexpensive, rapid, and easy. And this is how you should also evaluate the offering, business model, delivery model, whatever you want to call it, from a tech provider. And it kind of relates back to what Vlad was saying in the very beginning, that everything needs to be integrated. You should look for a flexible solution that's cloud native, something where you can experiment with different settings, A/B tests to tie into the analytics here, should be able to connect to anything. Because I think if you had to distill this whole webinar down into one thing, everything should be integratable and it should work together. You don't want silos in your tech stack. That's pretty much the worst place you could end up. And you're going to have a lot of manual work or not smart systems. So you need to make sure that it can connect to anything. You don't want something that's super expensive or you have to buy a whole solution when you're going to use 10%, but something that's more composable and will align with your business needs and your goals. Something where you can upgrade it easily, whether you need to scale it up or scale it down, like what Vlad was talking about also in busy seasons. So you need to make sure that it's going to be a scalable solution and that they're fast. So that means fast for you to implement. You don't want to be stuck in a 6-9 month implementation plan. They should also be fast to implementing new features because I think everyone realizes the e-commerce landscape, especially in terms of tech solutions, is changing, I don't know, even weekly, daily. So you want a solution that's going to keep pace with the change, not like you bought it in January 2024, that's it, and that's the technology you're using, but you want to make sure that they're also leveling up so that you're going to get these benefits without needing to switch a provider, platform, etc. And it should be easy to use, easy for your team to use on a daily basis, to set up, to figure out how to configure. And if it's something that's not self-service, it should be easy in a way that they have good support where their team will be able to help you do what you need to do without weeks of waiting or a lot of additional hidden costs in order to get that. So this is just a quick framework that you can use in terms of evaluating delivery models.
And always to use it. And always to use it. And also, just to chime in on what methods we usually use and how we get to work usually and how we deal with this tech stack. And wherever you are with your tech stack currently, I usually have a 3-step process, very simple gap analysis on how you can see where you are, see where basically your castle is, see where you want your castle to be, and also see the gaps, prioritize, and have the tech stack that you want. And the three step process is as follows. The first step is audit. Audit. And when I say audit, everything, your tools, CMS, your emails, apps, personalization, support, email, loyalty, everything. Audit everything. Look at their monthly financial cost and their monthly time cost. You need to look at your spending, both in financial and in time. And you need to reduce those while keep the profitability. So you need to look at the entire distribution and have your entire tech stack. This is how much I pay for it, and this is how much I spend on it. And using, of course, Tudor's KPIs, you'll always be able to evaluate where am I with my goals. And then once you have this entire full audit ready, or maybe think it's ready, you also need, and what we always recommend is a third party audit, being it an agency, a freelancer, or somewhere close to you that can provide you with an objective opinion over your tech stack, because you always need to adapt. As Paige said, things are changing and things are changing fast. So what we always recommend is talking to a third party. This is the castle that I have. Let me know your thoughts on how the castle should look like. Why? And why I'm always recommending this, because a 1 to 2 hour consultancy call or even this webinar can provide you with so much context so you can be future proof in your planning for your tech stack and also make all the right decisions while you see all the data being laid in front of you from this expert. So you need to have access to the knowledge and expertise to make those decisions. And once you have the vision of the castle currently and the vision of where the castle should be, now you just need to see the gaps. And why it's very important to see the gaps, because the closer you are to the tech stack, the blinder you are to its objective truth. So it's time to see it in perspective and get that fortress going. Let's go.
Well, thank you so much. You all brought so many valuable insights and just a few takeaways to wrap up everything that we've discussed. So first, you have your foundation, and you have to pick that really carefully and look not only at the cost, right, at the platform, but at those hidden costs: time, money, long-term challenges, various events such as Black Friday or similar marketing campaigns, and then basically take that decision. The second one is conversational commerce is there and it is not about the future, it is already here. And we can turn, let's say, those sales representatives that exist in the offline world into the online world. And there are so many tools. We have AI agents, we have the personalization, we have the email marketing. We can create different triggers in order to automate and to personalize the entire flow online and offline. There is actually no excuse for e-commerce owners to not do that. And then last but not least, when you actually have to choose those tools and those methods and like really to make sure that you're taking a good decision, there are actually ways so that you're not getting overwhelmed. And there are quantitative ways, A/B testing. You have the Forrester analysis that Paige was mentioning. You have really lots of aspects. Gap analysis. So you look on that according to where you are in your journey, and then you cut out whatever is not fitting. So this is really a North Star, I would say, on how to do it. So now we have a few minutes left to pick the questions from the audience. And for the ones who are watching, if you have any more questions, please drop them in the chat. And we actually have one, which is the following. With tools like ChatGPT becoming more and more popular, are you seeing any real impact on traffic or conversions yet? And how do you think that it will change how do you think ChatGPT and similar tools are going to change the landscape in the upcoming years? That's a very good one.
I can take that one if you want, or at least start it off, because I talk to Salesforce about this a lot. We've done a lot of content together on making products discoverable across other platforms like ChatGPT. I mean, already traffic, 15 to 20% of retailers' traffic is coming from ChatGPT. So it's not that people are just in the old world, it was you would Google the product or you would go to the website and search. But now you have to think about this third pillar that people are doing product discovery on ChatGPT. And ChatGPT does recommend products that will direct you right to a product detail page on a website. So it's a channel that is, again, not something you should, let's wait and see if it becomes important. It's already important. And if you don't start optimizing your site and your product catalog to appear on ChatGPT, you're going to get behind, and you're going to get so far behind that I think it's going to be hard to catch up. So this is already happening, and people are already optimizing their site and their products to appear on ChatGPT. It's a channel where also then you would see higher conversion because it will direct you right to the product detail page. So if it was something that you were looking for as a shopper, then you just have to add it to your cart and you're done. So it's really a much more streamlined journey, I think. So you need to be considering this as part of your customer acquisition channel now, today, not in 8 months. Let's see if this is something important, because it is important. So you can already check on Google Analytics if you're using it like Tudor said, and see what % of your traffic is coming from these external sites. So that's really where you should start. And if nothing is coming there, you should figure out how you can get some traffic, because it's going to your competitors from this source as well. So it's not something that you should ignore. I think it's just going to be more and more a driving source in the future. And like I mentioned in the beginning, it also will change the way that shoppers are searching and interacting with your search on your site, because Google basically trained us to distill a thought into a couple keywords so that it could return the relevant links. ChatGPT now is undoing that and is training people to search concepts or thoughts or questions. So they're going to take that newly learned behavior into your search bar and expect that your search engine is going to be able to process this and return results in the same way that ChatGPT does. So it's going to create basically a new world of search and product discovery that you need to adapt to.
If I can add to that, maybe just two thoughts. First of all, I know there are some regions where the inbound traffic to websites from ChatGPT is equal to the one from traditional search. So as Paige said, it's really big. And I think a very interesting thing that I saw, I think it's just 2 days old, Shopify has excluded bots from the checkout. So I think the fight is on. So I think now the gloves are off, and we're going to see major. So let me explain what I mean by that. Basically, Shopify says it's okay to use ChatGPT to get to the product detail page. It's not okay to use ChatGPT to complete the checkout for you, right? So you can't write to ChatGPT, purchase this dress for me, and it goes to the website, finds it, and completes the checkout for you. So I think the gloves are off, and I think it's going to be very interesting, and we'll have to see like how. So e-commerce could change dramatically over the next 5 to 10 years, depending on which company wins in the in the ring.
Those are many good points, Tudor. And if I may say one thought here as well, it's not only limited to ChatGPT. There are so many AIs coming up that we need to optimize for. We see Grok on X, we see Rufus on Amazon. There are so many AIs that are platform specific, and ensure you have in your plan and in your future this AI optimization. Very important.
This is really, really important, right? So the time is now and everything is changing, and you need to act right now. And we have another question from John, who is a founder of an early stage startup. And he is operating a group buy model that empowers users to invite members to their network to purchase fresh fruit collectively. And they have managed all their orders and customer data in Google Sheets. But as they transition into a scaling model, he's seeking some suggestions on tools, SaaS platforms to help streamline this work. Any recommendations for John?
I can try to have a stab at it. I'm not sure how precise it will be, but I think one of the key questions that are unanswered is whether purchaser, like an order, like the client of an order in John's system, is the specific one person or it's the group of people. Because if it's the group of people, then it becomes a lot more complex to have like a SaaS solution for that. If it's like the individual who is somewhere conceptually part of a group, then basically I think any simple ERP or even something like Shopify can probably help you get a good glance of like who's ordering what and when, basically turning it into some sort of a CDP, because it's not necessarily your point of sale, it's more like your backend. But if you're in the first option where you kind of group people together in new entities and the entity is placing the order, I think I don't know if you can get around SaaS. Like you might need to build custom to do that.
Yeah. If there are no other thoughts, I think that we are reaching the end of our webinar. So to everyone, thank you very much for joining us. We hope that you walked away with many new ideas and clarity on how to scale, what tools to choose and how to choose them. It was a lot of information. You're going to get the recording shortly so that you have everything there. And also feel free to connect with us, with all of our speakers if you'd like to dive deeper. And see you next time. Have a good day ahead. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.